In the North Atlantic, an old man standing on top of an otherworldly mountain calls out to Odin, the father of gods in the Norse mythology, to bestow upon Valhalla a worthy prince. The year is 895 AD, and a fleet of Viking ships are heading to their homeland because Arvindel, the Raven King, is coming back from war. He meets his wife, Queen Gudrun, and young son, Prince Amleth, in his court after receiving his people's grand welcome. Meanwhile, the king's brother Fjolnir joins them later, just as Arvindel gifts Amleth a necklace. Both Arvindel and Gudrun praise Fjolnir for his efforts in the war, but one of Arvindel's mischievous friends, Heimir, jokes that there's something going on between the queen and the king's brother. Before Fjolnir can kill Heimir for his disrespect, he's distracted by his infant son Thorir. Together, they all raise a toast to their kingdom of Hrafnsey to celebrate their victory in war. Later that night, Arvindel denies lying with his wife because he suffered a serious wound in the battle that made him realize that he needs to prepare Amleth for succession. He takes Amleth to a special temple dedicated to worshipping Odin and soaks his necklace in a bowl of fresh blood. Then they both enter a chamber and start acting like feral wolves in a ritual led by Heimir. They're offered some mysterious drink that they slurp up like dogs, and the test of worthiness is basically them being able to fart and burp on command, which proves that they're real men. Heimir and Arvindel also teach Amleth to keep an eye out for an enemy that might be hiding in plain sight, and to live with honor without being a simp to women. On that note, Arvindel opens his bandage and reveals his fresh, lethal wound given to him by the enemy that Amleth is forced to touch. He promises to avenge his father if he ends up dead from the enemy's blow. Little Amleth emerges as a new man that morning, as an arrow comes from nowhere and pierces Arvindel's heart. Within moments, horsemen surround them and shower the king with arrows as Amleth runs for his life. He hides behind a rock, while the group of cowards take down his lion-hearted father. The man who lands the final blow turns out to be none other than Fjolnir, who still gets insulted by Arvindel even in his last moments for being illegitimate. Fjolnir beheads Arvindel in the name of Valhalla right before he curses him and his stolen kingdom. Amleth hears that he's the next target, so he runs into the woods and cuts off an attacker's nose to defend himself. When he makes it to his village, his mother is being kidnapped and claimed by Fjolnir. Amleth quickly slips out as the noseless loser lies to everyone that he drowned and killed Amleth. Amleth finds a boat near the shore and rows into the sea, vowing to save his mother and kill Fjolnir someday. It's been years, and Amleth now works in the land of the Rus. Even though he's all grown up, he still wears the necklace his father brought him that day. He hasn't forgotten his purpose and is now a skilled, ruthless fighter and hunter. He loots and butchers a village with his fellowmen who admire him for his bravery, but he silently despises them when they burn all the children alive after claiming all the vulnerable women of the village. While everyone else celebrates by the bonfire, Amleth sneaks into the charred house where all the kids were locked and finds a woman there. She can sense his presence even though her eyes were pulled out in the attack. She knows exactly who he is and holds his hand, giving him the last teardrop he shed in the succession ritual that night with his father. She reminds him of his oath and gives him the path to find the appropriate weapon and track down Fjolnir. After the witch disappears, Amleth talks to the men around him and discovers that Fjolnir fled to the backwater frontier of Hrafnsey after King Haraldir of Norway took his kingdom. So Arvindel's death was for nothing because Fjolnir ended up with a sheep farmer anyway. A raven stops and sits in front of Amleth, which he sees as another sign from his father. So Amleth cuts off his hair, removes and hides the pendant from his necklace, and braids himself as one of the servants who's been shipped off to work for Fjolnir. Then he hides among the slaves in the ship that's traveling to Hrafnsey. There he meets a slave woman who's chanting spells in other slaves' ears and can identify that he's faking being a prisoner. A terrible storm hits the ship that night, and the spellcaster Olga and Amleth hold on to each other. They survive and make it to Iceland, where Fjolnir's men, including the noseless loser, herd up all the slaves. Olga offers to team up with Amleth in escaping this island once he's exacted his revenge. Fjolnir decides to sell off the weak slaves after Amleth draws attention to himself, proving that he's strong enough to work. He gives Fjolnir and his sons a false name, Bjornulfr, which is a representation of his strong but feisty personality. Fjolnir also decides to keep Olga because of her beauty and has other plans for her. Amleth sneaks out that night to steal a weapon, but gets a glimpse of his estranged mother that fuels his anger even more. The next day, he spies on Gudrun combing Fjolnir's hair and humming a song that brings back Amleth's childhood memories. Amleth's further exploration at night reveals that Hymir was mutilated and killed by Fjolnir, but still his spirit leads Amleth to the weapon that the Norns of Fate forged from him. It's a one-of-a-kind sword named Draugr, or the Undead, kept in custody of the Mound Dweller. Amleth defeats the zombie warrior and brings the sword back with him. He spies on Fjolnir and learns that he uses his subjects as playthings for his elder and competent son Thorir. Fjolnir is also about to rape Olga, but she disgusts him with her period blood right before Amleth hides his sword in the roof above. Amleth ends up saving Fjolnir's younger son Gunnar's life in a game which earns him the right to choose Olga for himself and get a promotion in his slavery. That night, he and Olga finally unite and plot to bring Fjolnir and his people down. Amleth kills all of Thorir's friends and some village elders in the dark of the night in such a theatrical manner that Fjolnir gets paranoid of sorcery at play. He appoints some of his men and all the slaves to protect their town from demons. The very same night, Olga adds magic mushrooms to everyone's food, which gets everyone high and distracted. This gives Amleth the opportunity to reveal his identity to Gudrun. Turns out she wasn't the noble queen Amleth thought her to be. She used to be Arvindil's slave who was made his wife when she gave birth to Amleth, a child of rape. She fell in love with Fjolnir and actually loves Gunnar more than she ever cared about Amleth. She admits that she practically begged Fjolnir to kill her husband and son. Then she almost seduces her own son to trick him, which infuriates Amleth so much that he runs off and kills Thorir in his sleep. Fjolnir completely loses it when he discovers Thorir's dead body, missing the heart the next morning. Gudrun snitches on Amleth, who already ran to the hills last night. Fjolnir finally believes her and kills a few slaves to instill terror. He's about to slit Olga's throat too when Amleth appears. He offers Fjolnir Thorir's heart in exchange for Olga's life, which causes Fjolnir and all his men to run towards Amleth in an effort to kill him off for good. He single-handedly takes down one man after another until he's distracted by the sight of Olga running away. This gets him weak, and so he's dragged to Fjolnir, who finally takes Thorir's heart. That's when Amleth laughs, because the heart came from the dead body of a rabid dog. Fjolnir chains him up and tortures him, but Amleth stays as tough as steel. When Fjolnir leaves for Thorir's funeral, Olga returns and rescues Amleth with some ravens' help. With their love stronger than ever, Olga and Amleth decide to leave everything behind and run away together to live a life of love. But Amleth learns that she's pregnant with his child. He knows that Fjolnir will come after his son someday, so he leaves Olga with his father's necklace and swims back to Iceland. After butchering every one of Fjolnir's men and freeing all his slaves, Amleth is attacked by Gudrun and Gunnar, who he half-heartedly kills for his own survival. He finally faces Fjolnir at the gates of Hell, where they both fight naked in an erupting volcano. They fight each other to death, and as Amleth draws his final breath and ascends to heaven, he smiles because he knows that Olga and their twins will forever be safe.